Hello, my curious explorers. My name is Andy Hero, and I would like to introduce you to the magical world of suspensions and retardations. What are they? Let me tell you. Suspensions and retardations are what are called non-chord tones, meaning they are notes that do not belong within a chord. If you do not know what a chord is, I highly recommend you look into that before continuing with this video. Going on, suspensions are non-chord tones where you take a note from one chord, you hold it over to the next chord, and then resolve it down to the next chord note. Now let's see what that looks like in music notation. We're going to be in the friendly neighborhood of C major in 4/4. Now in order to have non-chord tones, you need chords. So we're going to keep it very simple with a 1-5-1 chord progression in root position. We're going to put our suspension in our 5 chord, and we're going to put it in the voice that is usually the easiest to hear, the soprano. Now I went ahead and put the soprano chord note on the end of 2 because our suspension is going to be right on the downbeat of our 5 chord. So to find our suspension, we're going to look at our soprano line, go to the previous chord note is a C. We're going to put that C right on top of our 5 chord, and that note is our suspension. Now suspension has 3 important proponents. We have our preparation, that's the note from the previous chord. Then our suspension is putting that same note over the next chord, and our resolution is the chord tone that the suspension resolves down to. And as I said, the suspension and the preparation are the exact same note. That note becomes the suspension when the chord changes. Let's listen to it. You should be able to hear the C as a non-chord tone when the G chord was played, because the C is not part of a G major triad. It sounds just a little out of place. There's a slight tension or dissonance, but that tension goes away when you hear it resolve down to the chord note. Now there are several different types of suspensions, and they are notated by the intervallic relationship between the bass note and the suspension and resolution. Now, let's try to figure out what kind of suspension I use in this example. We're going to start with our bass note G, and we're going to count the intervals going up to the closest octave of our suspension note C. So there's 1, 2, 3, there's our C, it's 4. So our suspension is a 4th above our bass note and resolves down to the 3rd of the chord. We call this a 4-3 suspension. There are 2 other commonly used suspensions, a 9-8 and a 7-6. I recommend you look into the details of those on your own because now I'm going into retardations. Now a retardation is almost exactly like a suspension. However, instead of resolving downward, the non-chord tone resolves upward. So we're going to change this B into a D. And we have to change one more thing to make this correct. You do not want to double your resolution note in any other part of the chord. So we're going to have to take this D in the tenor and make that a B. And that is our retardation. Let's listen to it. And there you have it. In summary, a suspension is taking a note from one chord, holding it over to the next chord, and resolving it downward to the next chord note. A retardation is taking a note from one chord, holding it over to the next chord, and resolving it upward to the next chord tone. At the end of this video, I have a brief 2-measure composition with an upper and a lower section. The upper section has suspensions, the lower section has retardations. When it's done playing, pause the video and see if you can find all of the suspensions and retardations. Good luck. Think you got them all? Thank you for watching and have a musical day.